Please welcome President and CEO, Biotechnology Innovation Organization, Jim Greenwood.
Hope you're all having a productive convention and enjoying the parties too. We do throw some wild and crazy parties here at Bio. I think I see some of you drinking coffee and holding your heads up. And speaking of parties, the political parties have been pretty wild and crazy this year. Yesterday, the voters of California had their say. The general election is upon us. It's Clinton versus Trump. Fasten your seatbelts, folks. This election is going to be fascinating. It's not going to be pretty. So today we turn to politics, and more specifically, the intersection between politics and policy. In a few minutes, we'll hear from three Washington veterans. They'll preview a race for the White House that figures to be unlike anything we have ever seen. They'll talk about the stakes for the biotech industry, and the stakes could not be any higher. Last year, our industry broke a number of important records. We attracted a record amount of venture capital investment, and we saw record follow-on offerings in public markets. The FDA approved the most new therapies in 18 years, the most biologics ever, and the most rare disease drugs in history. So the only thing that can stop the next wave of new cures is bad policy. Bad policy that spooks investors and starves our scientists of the resources they need. Fortunately, we have a powerful ally on our side in this debate, our record. Some of the biggest breakthroughs of the last 4 decades were made by firms and researchers in this room, by you and your companies. Thanks to your work in creating 39 FDA-approved antiretrovirals, HIV is no longer a death sentence. Far from it. With proper treatment, a 20-year-old who tests positive today can expect to live into his 70s. That's the value of biotechnology. Hepatitis C has gone from a deadly disease attacking the livers of 3.6 million Americans to an illness with a 90% cure rate. That's the value of biotechnology. Our therapies are helping doctors treat hundreds of diseases: leukemia, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, cystic fibrosis, lupus, and rare diseases with uncommon names like Pompe and Gaucher. We've produced vaccines to protect children from measles, mumps and rubella, diphtheria, whooping cough, chickenpox, meningitis, and polio. In the last century, the average life expectancy in the United States rose from 48 to 78 years, and it continues to rise, largely because of biopharmaceuticals. Yet, during this election season, our industry has become an easy scapegoat for the real and growing problem of patient access to affordable new medications. My friends, we are fighting back. Today, we ask each of you to join this fight. Millions of patients are counting on us to deliver the next miracle drug. If our ability to innovate is extinguished, so is their hope. Bio recently launched a new public education campaign to better tell our industry's story. It's part of our comprehensive strategy to refocus the public conversation on the true value of biopharmaceutical innovation. A strategy to build champions among policymakers, patients, and providers. We will remind elected officials that despite the rhetoric on drug prices, just 1 out of 10 biotech companies actually turns a profit. We'll remind them that 90% of biotech clinical research goes towards projects that ultimately fail. We fail, but we don't quit. We can't quit. To quit would be to let down all of those patients who are counting on us. We talk a lot in our industry about the biotech ecosystem. We talk about the key pillars of investment, invention, and product development. Right now, our ecosystem remains healthy, but it's fragile and it's under growing pressure. Even a lone tweet by a candidate for high office can have unintended market-moving consequences. So part of our job must be to educate the press, the public, and policymakers about what it takes to raise the capital required to bring breakthroughs to market. You and I know the innovation ecosystem is complicated. But our critics are using this complexity to vilify us. They say drugs cost too much and the drug companies are to blame. We respond with peer-reviewed studies and the latest investor risk prospectus. Well, guess who the public believes? It's time to simplify our case. That means using the best argument at our disposal. We save lives. That's why Bio recently launched a new ad campaign. It's called Time is Precious. Millions of people have seen this already, and the response has been off the charts. What this is about is to say, we're not just providing people with pills and biologics. We're giving people time. We made this spot to provoke an emotional response. And that response gives us the opening to make policy arguments that move the needle of public opinion. Take a look at our ad.
We think of time as a one-way motion from the past, through the present, and on into the future. Let us suppose that the past is the result of the present.
Another decade with a spouse. A few more years with your best friend. A rich, full life rather than one cut short. How do we place value on these? Today's breakthroughs in biopharmaceutical medicines are delivering more than stunning outcomes, more than cures. They are giving us hope. They are giving us time. Time. What is more precious? Priceless. And what better reason to push forward the cures we see so close at hand?
Like it? It's a good ad. We have such a positive story to tell. But our value campaign will do more than inspire. It will educate. We'll tell people what's happening in the insurance industry. Look, insurance companies are among our customers, but the customer isn't always right. Not always. Not when it means shifting drug costs that they should be covering to patients who can't afford them. Not when some are abusing specialty tier pricing to drive up their margins by driving sick patients out of their plans. It's like that car insurance ad where the woman says, you pay your premiums like clockwork, month after month, year after year. Then you have an accident, and surprise, your insurance company tells you to pay up again. Why pay for insurance if you have to pay even more for using it? Seen that ad? The truth is that drug prices aren't rising nearly as fast as many insurance company premiums, deductibles, co-pays, and co-insurance. That's a fact. Here's another one. Net price growth for branded drugs last year was a mere 2.8%. 2.8%. The insurer's own data shows that 3/4 of all premium growth is being driven by increasing payments to hospitals and doctors. Insurers spend about as much on their own administrative costs as they do for all of our medications combined. Whether you love Obamacare or you hate it, the law's central promise came down to this. Insurance companies get more customers and patients get more comprehensive care. But when insurers accept patients with pre-existing conditions only to refuse to cover innovative medications, there's a name for that. It's discrimination. Discrimination. It's also short-sighted from a business perspective. Effective drug therapies can lower healthcare costs elsewhere in the system. Prescription drugs can shorten hospital stays. They can prevent surgical procedures. They can speed the patient's road to wellness and greater productivity. It doesn't pay to be penny-wise and pound-foolish. Yet too many payers are doing just that when it comes to refusing to cover new medicines. We're not going to let our industry be tarnished by insurance practices that burden patients with unaffordable costs. And we won't let ourselves be defined by companies like Turing, outlier hedge funds masquerading as biotech firms. That's not who we are. Periodically, I will insert my applause lines for you. The first principle of our industry is making lives better through research and innovation, and that's not going to change. Nor will we be defined by candidates looking for easy applause lines. Look, politics is a tough business, I know. I served in public office for 24 years, but developing new medications, that's even tougher. Short-sighted price controls and heavy-handed regulation can bring our industry crashing down. We will not let that happen. So as part of Bio's value campaign, we've created a rapid response shop in Washington to beat back misinformation. We're doing more proactive media, both earned and paid, to get our message out. We're going door to door in Congress to educate elected officials, both chambers, both parties. We're engaging the grassroots and the grass tops in key states. We're amping up our social media presence to amplify your voices. I've launched a Twitter account. You can follow me at Jim Greenwood. I'm probably tweeting right now. Bio is a powerful voice for our community, but our strongest voices are found in biotech labs and offices around the country. It's the people in this room. Our scientists and the patients they serve are the most effective spokespeople our industry has. So we must unite and speak with a common voice. Yesterday morning, you received a blue trifold with a logically organized summary of the points you can use to make our case. I really want you to read that material and get used to making those arguments. More than ever, we need every one of you fully engaged. If you didn't get a brochure yesterday, you can go to our website at bio.org and download it. Now, 40% of the companies at this convention are not yet Bio members. Please join. We need every company in the country on our team if we're going to win this fight. But we can't just talk our way out of this difficult environment. That's why we're leaning forward on policy proposals at the state and federal level. Now, we expect politicians in Washington to work together. So we, too, in the healthcare industry, must work together. We must find common ground and common sense solutions to make drugs more accessible and affordable while preserving incentives for innovation. At Bio, we're committed to working with doctors and nurses, patient advocates, drug innovators, and insurers. We are in this all together. And together, we will craft solutions that save and enhance patients' lives. The threat we face is real, but we've come too far to let bad policy unravel a system that has made our biotech industry the gold standard of the world. The election is drawing near, the battle has begun, and so much is riding on the outcome. Together, we're going to fight back, and we're going to win. The work that you do is too vital. It's too crucial. And I want to thank you for doing it. Thank you.